Imagine staying in a private and luxurious, architecturally designed off-grid eco-suite for two, located in the heart of the incredible Fleurieu Peninsula region, with sweeping views down the Inman Valley and beyond to Encounter Bay and the Southern Ocean, admired from your choice of the indoor or outdoor baths. Truly an incredible experience for your birthday, right? But what if you upped the stakes, pun intended, and decided to elope while you were there? How do you start planning for something like that? And what sort of time frame do you need? This was Aaron and Steph's experience in planning their birthday getaway turned elopement earlier this year. From what to wear, and be sure to check out the Unbridely Instagram feed for photos of Steph's show-stopping Zimmermann dress, to who to tell, when and how, the newly married couple share their thought process, the advantages and the downsides of getting married interstate and in secret, and also let us in on what they'd change if they could do it all over again. You'll learn the significant advantages of midweek elopements, including how you may be able to book the very best wedding vendors at relatively short notice, some of the unexpected freedoms that they discovered along the way, their budget, and also how Steph and Aaron made sure that their immediate family didn't feel disappointed or left out when they revealed that they'd already gotten married without them. Stay listening to the end for Aaron and Steph's best elopement planning tips if you're considering something similar. Let's get stuck into it. Unbridely is a community of pro-wedding vendors who believe in freedom and integrity in weddings, giving you options, solutions, tips and tricks to create the experience and memories that you and your fiancé really want and deserve. Because we believe that weddings are a team sport. With how-tos, stories and interviews with recently married couples, we find out what went right and what they'd change if they could go back and do it all over again. I'm Camille and welcome to the Unbridely podcast. I want to say hi to you both. Welcome, Steph and Aaron.
Thank you for having us.
Happy to be here.
I am so thrilled because, as we were just saying before I press record, your hair and makeup artist, Steph, Kate Roxby, has sent me a little message and she goes, Camille, I know you want to talk to couples who are really doing things their own way, and especially with elopements and micro weddings with the current cost of living crisis, like there's a big shift at the moment. And then she goes, you got to look at these two. Like it sent photos of your elopement and yeah, holy shit. Like it knocked my socks off. And so we were just saying, you're freshly married, aren't you both?
We are, yes. Just over a month, I think. Yeah, a month and a few weeks.
Yep.
And we were just saying then, Aaron, oh God, I forgot what I said actually.
Riding the highs, I think it was.
Yes, I said, are you still riding the highs of the elopement? And you said?
I was going to say that, look, surprisingly, there weren't the same highs that you get with a wedding. And it's for us, and that was no disrespect to Steph, it was a secret for us and everybody else that we knew, but we weren't engaged beforehand either. So the lead up was quite different.
You sneaky, sneaky bastards.
It hasn't felt too much different just coming back into regular life, which is a good thing.
You can say that with authority, guys, though, because you've both been married before, yes?
Yes,
That's
correct.
right.
So
Yeah.
I think you were saying, Steph, that you'd felt that you had pleased everyone else probably the first time round.
They'd had their day.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this one was for you. Okay, so you weren't even engaged.
No.
So tell me, what's gone through your mind and when did this little idea, this first kernel start sprouting?
I think when we were overseas in America, we went to Cancun on a holiday. This was September last year. And we jokingly said, let's elope while we're here, which planted the seed. And it opened up conversations and we discovered that we were both far more open to that idea and not wanting to go through the big event and the big wedding again, having had done it before. And then we booked this as a holiday, a little getaway for us. It was over my birthday week as well. And then several months out, we just sort of said, look, what about this trip? And, the idea grew and it took hold and it became what it was.
Something absolutely spectacular.
Couldn't have it any other way or anything else.
Is that how you roll?
That's how I roll.
Yeah, I'm starting to get that. Okay, so you have this little idea, you have these nice open conversations, You discover you're both on the same page. And where was this trip, Aaron, for your birthday?
We went to the Adelaide Hills. We live in Brisbane, flew down to Adelaide, did a quick little dive with some seals and sharks in Port Lincoln. So that was the real dangerous, thrill-seeking part of the trip. And then we took ourselves up to somewhere a lot more relaxing and laid back.
Wow. What was your sort of lead time for going, yes, this is going to be not only a birthday trip, but we're getting married?
I think it was 10 weeks.
Oh, yeah, 3 months, I was going to say.
So
about that.
It was all booked. We had the accommodation booked, and the accommodation was beautiful. It was called Esker in the Inman Valley, just absolutely stunning. And I think Aaron was the one being like, oh, we've tossed around this idea. What about this venue? I think it would be perfect. And I was like, oh, well, what would I wear, firstly? 10 weeks away. Are you joking?
Let's get down to practicality, Steph.
Yeah, exactly, the important stuff. And then a few things just slotted into place. Like I think we made a few inquiries about rings, and we needed 8 weeks to get rings made. And we had a spare 2 weeks. We're like, oh, this is actually doable.
But everyone wants to know, Steph, what did you do about the what you're going to wear business? Because I've seen the photos, and it is not your average wedding gown, my friend.
Absolutely not. And that's where it all started slotting into place. I think it was maybe the next day, Zimmerman dropped their new runway collection, and I was like, that's what I'll wear if I can get my hands on it, which was a whole nother story. But I did. And then once I secured that dress, I was, well, this is happening now.
There was no going back from there.
We sort of decided between ourselves, look, rings, what we'll wear, celebrant's important. A photographer was so important to us because that was all we would have to share with people because we were making it such a private moment. I wanted hair and makeup to look fabulous, of course. And then we wanted food or a wedding night meal, I guess. I just have to say, my first Hail Mary was sending an email to the venue at Esker saying, we're thinking of eloping on the property. Do you know anyone? Can you point us in anyone's direction? And in a very strange turn of events, the owners of that property, Claire and Mark, were actually getting married. We got married the 31st of May. They got married the next Tuesday in a legal ceremony before they jetted off to Italy.
Wow.
I know. And they were like, oh, well, would you like our celebrant?
Yes.
Yes, please.
Yep.
And she'd stayed at the property, so she knew the property and she knew where it was because we were quite remote. You don't want people getting lost and things like that.
And who did you pick?
We picked Ali. Is it Ali Phillips?
Yeah.
Yeah, married by Ali.
Yeah.
Is her.
The fabulous Ali Phillips.
Isn't she fabulous?
Oh, she's great.
Yeah, shout out to you, Ali. Where did you go on the catering side of things?
That was actually really, really hard. Esker were really good in saying, look, there's these restaurants and there's these nearby local businesses. But because we actually got married on a Wednesday, it was great in that the best in the biz, Ali and our photographer Simon, were available because it was a random midweek inquiry.
Yep.
But the downside was a lot of restaurants and wineries in Inman Valley, McLaren Vale, don't open Tuesday, Wednesday. So we just were struggling to find anywhere to go out to, anywhere to come in. And so Claire at Esker said, look, here is Fiona Burrows at Floral Hampers. She sometimes leaves meals and things when we have guests coming that don't want to go out, and they're just home cooked meals, like they're nothing, fancy. So here's her number. And I got in touch with her and I said, look, the brief is, we don't want someone here cooking for us, but we don't want to cook.
So if you can make something magical happen that's really delicious, but you're not present for, that'd be great.
Exactly. Yeah. And she did exactly that. And she also set up a gorgeous little picnic for us to enjoy some champagne and a nice charcuterie board while we were getting our photos. It felt like everything was personalised, which was just fantastic.
We were both happy.
Yeah. We were both happy, and we got to eat on our wedding night our favourite food. We got to have each other's company. We actually got to talk, and you got to eat your meal hot, which we both know from previous experience that doesn't usually happen.
It doesn't.
Yeah.
Dear listener, it doesn't usually happen at a full-scale wedding. Yeah, I'm just thinking of so many of the things that you just said there, Steph, that, we're ticking the boxes for you, but yeah, frequently they don't happen when you're surrounded by lots and lots of guests who, deservedly sort of are looking for your time and attention on the day. And yeah, the thing that really stuck out to me there was, you had your ceremony, having some photos and having a picnic. Like, who has time to have a picnic on their wedding day?
We did.
Yeah, and interesting you say that, Camille, because there were several points throughout the day that we did actually stop and go this is fantastic. There was no regrets, no looking back. We were reassured and validated in our decision all day that it was the right thing for us to do.
So cool. So I would like to hear a little bit about your photographer and how you found him.
Look at a few photographers, and I think once we got Ali in place, I think she suggested Simon, or his name kept popping up because I think he's on the top of some incredible photography lists in South Australia. And I'd seen his photos and kind of glanced past him because I thought, oh, we won't be able to afford him because he's obviously top of those lists and he does incredible work. But his name kept popping up and I thought we should just make an inquiry.
Yep.
It's a Wednesday, you never know. And he was free and he was happy to come out to the Inman Valley. I think he does so many weddings that he was quite excited for a new venue, try somewhere new, which, try his artistic talent. And he was just a delight. We did a little Zoom interview with him, I guess, to get to know him so he could get to know us. We could meet him prior to the day, given we're in Brisbane and he's down in South Australia. I think as soon as I showed you his work and I showed Aaron,
oh, yeah, it was easy.
And so beautiful.
Wildly talented. It was really good that you said that, Steph, because I think that's one of the biggest pluses of maybe having your weekday elopement is, the freedom to try anything, really, do anything you want, but choose vendors that you might not have been able to get on a Saturday unless you booked them 2 years in advance. So
exactly.
Yeah, to get the likes of Simon Bills, and I can imagine him skipping amongst the grasses there and, having an absolute ball on the day.
He was incredible. And he's just such a lovely guy too. So he was really nice to be around on the day for the hour and a half that we had him. I think he even stayed a bit longer too. Jumped in the ute of the property owner. We got taken up to this Sunset Hill that they called it, where there were alpacas, and he incorporated some alpacas into some our wedding photos.
Which I'm a huge animal nerd, so do you want to feed the alpacas? Absolutely, yes, I do.
Simon's snapping away. You're having a picnic. Ali's just married you. With your ceremony, can I ask how long it went for?
We reflected on this probably 10 minutes, and that's including the vows that we wrote as well, which was probably the longest bit. We were getting ready beforehand, having a drink with Ali and Simon and Mark, the property owner. And then she's like, oh, should we do it? I'm like, oh, geez, yeah, okay, yes, we should. So we just walked outside.
That's a brilliant way to start. And going back there, Aaron, so you're both getting ready together. Was there a moment where you saw each other dressed up for the first time still?
Yeah, there was. I think I turned around and I saw you walk out with your hair done and the dress on. And yeah, there was a moment that I got to have that big reveal and had my breath taken away.
You had both that moment of seeing each other, but the comfort of getting, and just the fun of getting ready together, staying in the same place, getting to actually know your suppliers a little bit better. And then it's, come on, let's go outside. Let's get you married. You weren't engaged before you made this decision. You put everything into place in about 10 weeks. And during that time, it's all a secret from everyone?
It was, yeah.
Completely.
How'd you find that?
Yeah, it was good and bad. It was exciting and thrilling at the same time. It also meant you didn't have to run any decisions past other people and you didn't need to consult others, which is tremendous. It just becomes incredibly fulfilling to be able to just make a decision yourself because it's what you want. And knowing that others won't be there, it doesn't matter what they think because they're going to find out afterwards anyway. It was a challenge too because we were pretty excited and couldn't share it with anybody. And at times we almost thought about bringing others into the secret, but thought, no, we don't want to have anybody or anything be the undoing of this big secret. And this what was to become a big reveal too, several days after getting back.
Right. Tell me about that.
Well, because it fell over my birthday, we had planned deliberately for there to be a birthday lunch not long after getting back. Steph's birthday was a few weeks ago too, so we sold it as a joint birthday.
Nice cover. Yeah, good. No one suspect a thing.
Both and it was legit too. We booked a venue, by we, I mean Steph, they booked a venue for lunch. We arranged it with them beforehand, had our family arrive a little bit before we were due to arrive, even though we were already there. And we kindly asked a waiter to walk in ahead of us and introduce the new Mr. and Mrs. White. And we arrived in our wedding attire.
Yep, Steph
in her dress again.
Zimmerman got another day out.
Yep. So we walked into all our family
I was like, but I can wear the dress twice, honey. It's really worth it.
Who gets to do that?
And so the waiter comes, was it friends and family, just family, immediate family? How'd you work that out?
Immediate family.
Okay.
Yeah, we were really strict on numbers. So it was, direct family, direct mum and dad, my nana and pop, our siblings, and then Aaron has a little niece and nephew. So I think there was 14 of us, including us.
Okay. So you kept it very much in-house.
Yeah.
As soon as you start bringing in friends, I think it can get complicated because you more or less need to rank your friends.
And this is what we wanted to avoid.
That's always been my position and stance on groomsmen and, bridesmaids. And we didn't want to have any of that. We figured no one would be offended by not telling them if no one knew.
Exactly. A lot of engaged couples, though, guys, are shocked to hear that or learn that. The idea of ranking your friends by hierarchy might actually hurt feelings. Yeah, it's one of the best reasons not to have a wedding party in the first place. Okay, so just immediate family. The waiter walks out, says the new Mr. and Mrs. And what was the reaction?
My family were a little bit clued on that something was happening just because I'd made it absolutely clear, don't be late, you can't be late to this event because kids can have that effect on people. So they suspected something and your parents were completely...
My parents and family had no idea.
Yeah.
Got it completely over them and mum was just, you have got to be kidding me. You never get something like this over me. She, was a little bit stunned at first. And then I when we walked in, I remember at one point I was like, it's already happened. It happened while we're away. I have photos to show you. And she could sort of see her processing it. And then she sort of started to be like, oh my God, and like squealed and then was really excited. So it was very cute seeing her kind of go through the stages of recognizing what was in front of her.
And Simon, being the quality photographer that he is, had given us a brief, I think it was 3 minutes, like a video package comprised of the photos, like some highlights of the actual day itself. So we'd brought an iPad along to be able to show people, that video to give them an insight into what it looked like.
Yeah, so we could share photos with them straight away, which was just, lovely.
This is the Sunday and we got married on the Wednesday. So literally 4 days later, he'd given us, I think, 96 photos.
That's amazing. And I'm guessing,
it was incredible.
When you're having the Zoom with Simon, like way back when you were choosing him as your photographer, this is something that you told him up front, right? That this is the secret squirrel elopement and we really want to reveal it within 4 days.
And even then he was like, yep, no problem. That's pretty easy. Again, perhaps being a Wednesday wedding.
But in saying that, I know I work with photographers a lot. Wedding photos can take 6 to 8 weeks to get back. Like I know people that wait for, that reveal photo or that photo to put on their social media. And so for Simon to turn around, it was more than half of our collection in the end within a couple of days. We were so grateful and it was just the most incredible work. And that dip photo I sent you, Camille, that was our reveal photo. And I'm just like, you have just nailed this. This is perfection.
Yes, yes. And for you, listener, please go to The Unbridely on Instagram because, I'll have this photo all over the place. So you tell everyone, they process it. Your mum's stunned, Steph, that you actually got it past her. And then was the feeling, happiness and joy, and did everyone sort of come around and come on board within, half an hour,
Within minutes, I'd say, people sort of came on board. And we had a photographer in Brisbane as well. And we had some ladies I work with at Hannah Photography, Olivia, who hid in the bushes and kind of took some of the surprise photos. And then straight away, we took our family away to get some family photos because we were in our wedding clothes. And then, that's the family photo Nana wants to put on the wall in the photo frame. So we didn't want to deprive them of that. So we had that set up and we did a few quick family happy snaps and then we all sat down to lunch and we could show them our photos from Adelaide and then tell them all about it. And it was just so nice to have that intimate lunch to be able to talk openly and tell them all about it and share everything.
I can't help but feel that you had the best of both worlds in you actually got to spend time with each other on the day that you got married and you got to spend time with your immediate family and have meaningful conversations with them as well. But what about your friends? How did you tell everyone and what was the response?
There were a couple of friends we FaceTimed and told them early because they are very special friends to us and we wanted to sort of share that with them. It was funny when we first started FaceTiming, we did a couple on Sunday morning before the Sunday lunch and sort of said this is under lock and key because our family must have the big reveal this afternoon. And then said, we have news. And, we've been pretty open with some of our friends and that we want to start a family and things like that soon. And so a few people were like, you're pregnant. I'm like, no.
Incorrect. Try again.
Then I got Aaron's ring and did this because I thought if I went like this with my hands up, people would be like, you're engaged. So we put Aaron's hand up showing his wedding ring. And then one of them was like, you proposed to him. And we're like, oh my God.
Keep going.
Keep going. So you can see them like slowly problem solved. But they were just so ecstatic, really good friends. I told a lot of them were actually my bridesmaids in my first wedding. And so they've seen my whole journey through my separation and my divorce and, meeting Aaron and rebuilding this beautiful, wonderful life. And they just were like, this is so you guys. Like, this is just, it's so perfect. It's so different to what it was before, but it's just so you guys, this intentional, deliberate decision and two adults deciding they want to commit and get married without all of the other fluff.
That's so cool. I want to know though, because I'm a celebrant as well. And sometimes couples do the surprise wedding, as in guests are invited, still, big numbers, 100, 120. They're invited to some sort of ruse. And then at some point, the couple come out, they're all dressed up, and we go, surprise. It's not a 30th, it's a wedding. And in my experience, it takes people a while to process. So that was really interesting that, your immediate family went, hang on a minute, and sort of got around it. But it sounds like they actually accepted it and processed it a bit quicker than a surprise wedding. Because what I find at a surprise wedding is maybe because it's happening in that moment, it's really confronting. And some people handle it very well and others are upset. And they're like, how could you not have told me? I would have worn something different.
How did you let me wear this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, I'm sorry, but that makes it about them again.
Damn straight it does, Steph. God, I love you guys. Yes, it does. And so you took it all for yourself. You actually had a celebration just for you.
Yeah.
Which sounds selfish in some ways, but it's what you get married for anyway. And the whole thing to us, our underlying theme and what we kept going back to was that we wanted a marriage, not a wedding. A wedding is steeped in traditions that I think these days we can no longer explain, and we have no idea why we have 3 or 4 bridesmaids and why we have to wear white and why we need to walk down an aisle and do all these things. So we were able to strip it back to exactly what we wanted, but also to be there for each other and to make it about the marriage to each other too, which was really important to us. And look, you cut costs and save some money along the way, but it's everything that we wanted.
Tell me about these cut costs, Aaron.
You're talking to the right man over here.
Have you got a spreadsheet? Aaron, I
tried my best.
Almost. I do have a spreadsheet for a lot of things, but it wasn't hard to keep track of the cost with this one because it was just so simple compared to what a big wedding is. But again, a wedding feels really performative with speeches and table settings and chair covers and, all sorts of different things that are there for the other people that are there, the guests. You don't even really get to eat a hot meal, and you almost don't get to talk to your partner too, or your family, or the other 140 people that are there. Even the simple act of the photography, you get married and then you go and disappear for a couple of hours while you go and get photos, whilst all the guests that you've accumulated and have brought into this one location to be there for you are there drinking your drinks and eating your food. Without you. And you're off with a much smaller group of people getting photos, and you spend a few hours of the 6-8 hours of your day away from the event itself, which again was mind-boggling to us. And one of the really interesting things was that with Simon as the photographer and with our elopement, we were able to get photos of just us for an hour. So we were done in an hour, maybe an hour and a bit, but every single photo was of us, which again sounds self-indulgent, but
the whole day was self-indulgent. Let's be realistic.
That's probably true. But the interesting thing is, after the photography was done, we got dropped back to our room or our little couples retreat where we were staying and sat down and ate the rest of the picnic that was there. And it was just the two of us. So it was a real big contrast from photography to bang, just us. on our wedding night. And I cooked some really nice steaks that we had, duck fat potatoes that were left for us. And we're sitting there eating dinner, having a few drinks in some bathrobes and flippers, as you do. And it was just the two of us. And we said on a couple of occasions, like, just how surreal is this?
I think you, Steph, said the word selfish.
Self-indulgent.
I can't help but think that you did what you wanted to do, which when you become an adult, surely that's what we try to do. We try to be true to ourselves. We try to do what we value. But you came back home, arranged to get together with your immediate families, and had the foresight to realise that they missed that moment of you in your finery. And so you dressed up again, hired, a photographer to come down and took those family photos that often mean so much to parents and grandparents. And I think you said, Steph, it's the one that Nana wants to put on the fridge.
Yeah, I couldn't begrudge none of that.
No. Nana wants that. Nana needs that. But you, I don't know, you're giving enough, mature enough to realise that that was their needs, but you didn't let that stomp on what you wanted. So surely, is that not the best blend? Is that not the most mature, evolved thing that we can possibly do?
Best of both, like you said, yeah. Everybody was considered.
Yeah, we loved it. It was, I guess, for us about having that balance. And, we also had for our family, we had a nice banquet. We had a cake, so that they got a couple of little traditions squeezed in there because we knew that those moments would mean a lot to them. And also just being able to share, like it's not often, not in our families, I know some families are different, for both of our sets of families and siblings and things to come together. Like they've met a couple of times, but it's actually not often you get to have those joint beautiful dinners and lunches and to get everyone in the same place at the same time and to be able to share that moment. They were sort of texting us for days after being like, how cool was that? Like that was just the coolest thing. And I guess the back part of that story is we're all sitting at lunch and you can see like my dad's chomping at the bit to, can I tell my friends? And we're like, well, we've told no one else, but we have an announcement photo, so please hold. And then we kind of hit post and then put our phones down and you could feel them vibrating and blowing up in our bags. But we literally mic dropped the world and then enjoyed our lunch.
That's so funny. That's so funny. But then you spent the time with the family. And what happened when you did pick up that phone again, Steph? I'd really love to know. Let's face facts. You've always been the planner and the organiser. And your fiancé's eyes glaze over a little when you start talking about the details of your wedding day. But you really need someone to share this all with, to bounce ideas off, and someone who's not going to ruin the surprises, but also be supportive and maybe even offer a different perspective. So when you're needing to get a second opinion about your bridesmaid, your in-laws, or your first dance song, Unbridely Couples is your safe space. Unbridely hosts a private Facebook community where modern engaged couples can share ideas, chat, and solve problems, and generally just get freaking excited about their wedding. We also have a curated list of experienced wedding vendor professionals in there to offer suggestions and tips, insight into how to get the most out of your big day. But with no unsolicited DMs or pushy sales tactics, it's just not what Unbridely is about. So you can search for the Unbridely Couples group on Facebook or just click on the link in the show notes. I'll see you in there.
It was a little bit overwhelming, to be honest, and I didn't get back to people for days and days. We definitely wanted to let people know on the Sunday night rather than walk back into work and someone be like, how was your holiday? And be like, oh, great, I swam with sharks and I got married, I guess. So it was more nice to walk into work with everyone and be like, oh my God, come over here, need to know everything. And people just had so many questions because obviously we weren't engaged. People were like, do you have a ring? I'm like, of course I have a ring. And just, yeah, they had so many questions because we sort of just put this photo up and I think the caption was, we do and we did. And that was it.
But overwhelmingly positive too. No one was shitty with not being told.
To our faces. But
well, yeah.
So if you have a problem with Steph and Aaron, please email me at hello@unbridely.com and let me know how you feel.
Or we can have it out in the comments. It'll be fun.
Let's just go live now. That's so brilliant. So then that takes my mind to the cost. Are you guys willing to share roughly what this cost you? Because in Australia at the moment, 2023, the Easy Weddings report on the state of affairs of weddings says that we're spending about $35,000 on average.
Wow, that's scary.
And so obviously there's weddings that are 150, 200,000. There are some that are 7,000. And so, yeah, it'd just be really helpful to the engaged couples out there to sort of know roughly where your celebration sat.
Yeah, it's probably, I think it's hard because you need to compare apples with apples. And like for us, we don't count the accommodation as being part of it because we were going anyway and that was already booked. And then do you put rings and dressing and things? But if you scale it back to just photography, catering, Ali as a celebrant, and I had a florist as well. I obviously wanted a beautiful bouquet and she did a beautiful setup of florals. I'd say under 5.
Yeah.
Less than 5,000 for those things.
That's amazing.
And then obviously, and then we obviously what we wore, but Az was very good with what you wore. He bought suits and things that he'll rewear, and I bought my dress knowing it was Zimmerman, knowing that it was current fashion, and I sold it in 24 hours once I listed it. I think that was 2 weeks ago.
Stop it.
Once it came back from dry cleaning. So we knew those costs would be recuperated, which made us feel a bit more comfortable spending them.
Yeah. Fuck, you guys are amazing.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
But it meant we could go like top shelf steaks, for instance, or, Steph, you've always had a dream to drink a bottle of like Dom Perignon. So we're able to get a really nice bottle of champagne, and you can dial up those finer trimmings because you're saving so much money elsewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we woke up that morning and we had massagers that came to the room and had baths, and it was very self-indulgent to us, but you usually don't get time to step away on your wedding day and be like, guys, can you just leave me alone for an hour? I'm just going to zen out and have a massage. Thank you so much.
So the morning, you wake up together, you're both at this amazing accommodation, Esker. You wake up on the morning. How did it feel?
We were really calm, I think. And it felt like a regular morning on a holiday because there was no rush, no hustle and bustle. We knew proceedings were happening in the afternoon, and your first commitment was at 9 o'clock that morning.
Everyone was sort of coming to us, so we didn't feel any sense of, okay, it's go time, like we need to do this, we need to do this. It was just all very calm. We enjoyed breakfast and coffee in bed, spent time together, which was kind of the theme of the day. And even sort of after we had massages, and then, Kate came and did my hair and makeup, then we'd have a drink together. Like you got to take all these moments together throughout the day that usually you don't get to see them until after 3 p.m. And you're like, hey, I'm the one in white. See you there later. And then you get back to your hotel room at the end of the night and say, well, how was your day?
Reintroduce yourself, yeah.
Yeah. So what went really well on the day?
I think
all of it.
There was no criticisms. Everything went really well, just the timing. And look, that's a huge credit to Steph as well. There wasn't a huge amount to do compared to another wedding, but Steph did what we did do very well. So the ducks lined up. The venue was incredible. Everybody was great and friendly. There were less moving pieces, less to go wrong. And I think because we did it in the way that we did, it felt like a holiday for the first half of the day, yet still really relaxing for the second half of the day. We got married in the early afternoon.
A relaxing wedding day. It's like an oxymoron, isn't it?
It didn't feel right, if that makes sense. It felt like something was missing because we weren't stressed.
Yeah, it does.
And I think because it was just us, there was no pressure. And we weren't clock watching, and that's when Ali said, well, should we do this? Because we were just all inside having this lovely casual chat. Everyone was enjoying a glass of bubbles, all of like the couple of suppliers that were there.
And no speeches or anything either, or like there was no later performance. There was no first dance or father-daughter dance or, any choreographed dance. No speeches. There was no other performance that had to be done later in the night.
And anything funny or unusual happened to you both on the day?
The flowers behind us at the ceremony fell over midway through. So literally mid-ceremony, we stopped and picked them back up again. Again, because you can. There's no one there that cares.
We kind of paused mid-vows, and I think Aaron was like, are they annoying you? I'm like, yes. And then everyone's like, all right, intermission. We'll fix the flowers back up because we want that for the photos.
So if you could go back and do it all again, what would you change?
The only thing that we thought we'd change would be to spend another day where we were the day after the wedding. And that was all because we had commitments back here in Brisbane that we chose to come back for. We still spent the day down in Adelaide and flew out late that next day, but we had to check out at like 11 or 12 o'clock. And that was because of the holiday that we chose initially, not the wedding. But in hindsight, had we have known what we were going to do, we probably would have tacked on an extra day so we could just have a full relaxing day with multiple indoor and outdoor baths.
Ironically, more time together is what we changed, even though we got plenty of it.
So everything went so well that you actually wouldn't change anything, you'd extend it. I went to the couples who were inside the Unbridely Couples Facebook group and I said, I'm going to have a chat with this amazing kick-ass couple who just sort of blew off the whole wedding tradition thing. What would you like to know? Like, what are your biggest questions for them? And Eva would like to know, how did you choose to reveal the news so we know that you actually had your family lunch before you posted on socials? But did you do anything with, extended family and friends after that meal?
Absolutely not. I had a few people say, oh my God, we need to have a reverse hens party. We're going to have a celebration. And we were like, this is exactly what we wanted to avoid. Having to figure out the guest list, having to throw a party, we didn't want that. That's what other people want us to do. It never crossed our minds and we just sort of were like, oh, that's very sweet, but no.
What a great idea, but no.
But actually, in saying that, our closest friends were all absolutely wonderful. And when you're free, we want to take you to dinner. We want to hear all about it. And, we got some beautiful gifts. Who would have thought people would send you gifts when you didn't invite them to your wedding? Which was very lovely of them. And so, people just wanted to catch up with us and wanted to hear about it, wanted to know more because we did keep those details quite private. We didn't do a big social media post saying, hey, we eloped and here are all the details. It was kind of like you had to inquire within to find out more information.
But I like that because you went through with your intentions rather than going, yeah, let's have a 200-person party, which would have defied that whole point, right?
Exactly. And it also just keeps that element of privacy around it. I had never written my own vows before I got married in church last time. So you had your basic fuddy-duddy church vows. And, I would find it probably quite nerve-wracking writing vows, knowing all my family and all of my friends are going to hear these private thoughts and these private promises that I want to say to Aaron. Whereas I felt so at ease and I feel like our vows were really beautiful because we only wrote them for each other.
Yeah. Another aspect there, Aaron, where it wasn't a performance for others, right? It was truly just for each other.
Exactly, yeah. You weren't reading them for anybody else. You didn't need to make sure that they could be understood or interpreted by others.
That's the thing. You plot in a joke or something.
You didn't need to try and make them funny, but you could have an inside joke that only the other person would get because they were more or less the only other person there.
Yeah.
Or at least that's how it felt.
Oh, I love that. That's cool. Eva also wanted to know in hindsight what you wish you'd focus more on or maybe realise that you didn't need. What were your basic lessons learned from this?
I'd say flowers, but you'll argue with that.
My bouquet was non-negotiable. We also had, you want to frame the beautiful shot because the photos are the only thing of the day that you have to share with your nearest and dearest to, let them in and share your day with them. And look, in hindsight, we had these big pots of these huge flowers that kind of framed our ceremony that kept blowing over with the wind. So I suppose there is an argument they weren't necessary.
I'm being facetious. They look great in the photos, as did Steph's bouquet.
But look, at the same time, we also tried to not use things unnecessarily. So the lovely florist, Georgie, came back the next day. She repurposed all of the flowers because we were flying out late that night and did them up into little table settings and delivered them to a nursing home for a ladies' lunch. So they got completely repurposed for a very good cause. So I have no regrets about the flowers.
No, not at all. That made me feel a lot better.
And Yelena from the Unbridely Couples group asked, how did your parents and close friends react to the news? And we were saying that to your face, really quite well.
Really well.
The friends that we told in advance were ecstatic, over the moon, loved the fact that we did it and were really supportive of it too. And at no stage did we feel regretful for not telling them sooner or including them, nor did they make us feel that way. Family and friends acted the same. as well. Everybody was really happy. No one cared that they didn't know.
And I think there was probably not a lot of people were surprised in some ways. I had expressed to, my nearest and dearest that I wasn't actually sure that I wanted to get married again, even, up until not too long ago. And I think what I probably meant was I don't see the purpose in a big wedding and a big production, and I just couldn't see myself doing that again. And so, when the usual questions came up being like, oh, when are you going to America? Do you think Aaron will propose? We sort of said, oh, look, we've really decided that's probably not for us. So the fact that we were doing that and we did it in our own way, people loved and they really respected, because they didn't expect to get a wedding out of us, I don't think. No one thought they were going to get their second bridesmaid opportunity or anything like that. So I think even from my nana, who, adores it, she was just so gleeful, because I think she was just so ecstatic that we had done that and got married when she thought we probably weren't going to.
Yeah, I bet.
Look, it was Adelaide and the Adelaide Hills in winter. So for those that know, it was quite cold. The only thing I'd probably change would be to wear a singlet under my shirt. I was freezing.
And I refuse to wear any kind of coat, because once you see it, you'll understand.
You're welcome. So your biggest elopement planning tip for other engaged couples, what would you say to them?
I think just really have a think about a traditional wedding and think about what you actually need. Even as the little thing like having photos taken before the wedding, it means that you can then get married, have your ceremony, and then bang, go straight into your reception. The only reason why we don't do that, I think, is because it used to be bad luck back in the day. Little things like that. And I've been in bridal parties and I've missed out on being in bridal parties, and I didn't want to wish that on to anybody. Again, because you rank your friends and you're literally standing in order of first, second, third. And I was an MC at a wedding once, and my friend had 4 groomsmen, and I stood up and literally said, "Hi, I'm Aaron. I'm Stephen's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th best friend."
Did you get good laughs?
Oh, yeah, went down really well.
The crowd would have been a crowd favourite.
Yeah, I love that. I love that.
I still remember it because it went down so well. One of my few good jokes.
No, it's such a good tip, Aaron. For yourself, Steph, what would you say to other couples who are going, ooh, this sounds super tempting?
Well, I'd probably take it one step back, and, I've got girlfriends and I know people that are waiting on the ring. And I guess my challenge to you is, why must you wait? We made a decision to get married. That was a joint decision. We jointly designed the ring. I didn't want there to be this big question. And so view it a bit more, I guess, like that, because it is a marriage is a choice for both of you. And I've been very, why does the guy get to dictate, time frame of a relationship goes and when you get to take those steps, because it often holds up babies and things like that. And Aaron sometimes challenges me back and says, well, women expect them to pay for these big rocks. So it's fair that they get to decide in a way, which I suppose that's right. But yeah, challenge the things that are tradition, and why does it need to be that way? And can you just make the decision? And then so many things open up to you, because you can just choose to go and do it and, ask for forgiveness, not permission, if there's anyone that didn't like it. And you can really strip things back and decide, well, do I want these things, or do I think I want these things, just because that's what I see in every other wedding.
Became a lot more fair and equitable in doing it that way too. We were both part of a decision in the whole process.
And that actually works, having planned a big wedding. I married an Italian in my past life. I find, in my experience with my girlfriends, if the groom is not, with all respect, super involved in the wedding planning, it does sort of take on this beast of its own in the bride's family. And Aaron, because he was the only person that I could talk to about planning it, was very involved this time, and every decision was sort of run by you, and, whether you realize it or not, you did pick the photographer and participated in all these sorts of things. So I think it becomes much more of a joint exercise, and you can really hone in on what you guys both want, because there are some traditions in weddings that there's family pressures from either side, and the other person might not actually want that or really want to subscribe to that.
That's absolute gold, Steph.
Be a strong, independent woman.
It's so what Unbridely is about, empowering the couple rather than perpetuating outdated norms, customs, traditions that don't serve the couple. Use them if they work for you. Sure. Do whatever you need. You wore the white dress, Steph, but yeah, everything else is sort of up for negotiation, which I really love as a metaphor for marriage. Like, what kind of marriage are you hoping for after this wedding day or day that you get married? Is it one where you're running around doing everything, organising everything, and then you just bring it to Aaron and say, Aaron, is this okay? And he gives the yes or no. I mean, what sort of life are you setting yourself up for? I love that you put your money where your mouth is.
It sets the tone it can set the tone for the rest of your life and the relationship that you have together.
Fuck yeah. Okay. So then your favourite part of the day, what's the moment that you will never forget?
I had a couple, if I can go first, but I had a couple. So Steph was getting her hair and makeup done. I was having a bath outside and reading a book. And then I think getting back after the photos was great because we were back into warmth again. But I think just sitting down and having the dinner with just the two of us, drinking our favourite drinks, we'd all prearranged our favourite food, and just how good is this? Like, we can actually talk to each other and not have to do anything else. Our obligations at that point for that day were over. It was just about the two of us.
And that was probably my favourite too, is we sort of came back and we were freezing because we went up to this Sunset Hill to get these incredible photos and see the alpacas, of course. We were in the Adelaide Hills in May, so it was freezing. Just coming back, the floor of the bathroom was heated. We jumped in the stone bath, had a nice warm bath together, then put our fluffy robes on, ate our food, and then later in the night we had a dessert platter sitting in the freezer for us from our lovely caterer. She was incredible. And then we had a fire pit, and we smoked cigars, got drunk. We lead quite busy lives, and for us to have no distractions, and even when you usually get married, the next morning you often get hounded by text. We didn't have any of that. It was just absolute silence and peace to actually just switch off from our phones. I don't think we actually took any photos all day. I had to ask Ali for some photos because I didn't have any until we got some from Simon, because we just completely switched off, and that is so rare for us in our lives that I just really treasured that.
Yeah, that's really special. That's so cool.
Yeah.
We spent the whole day together too, which is really, really rare and unusual for your wedding day. There's literally two of us for most of the day.
But how perverse is that we say that that's really unusual for your wedding day? But it is.
It doesn't make sense. Yeah, exactly.
That's so cool, guys. Look, I just want to thank you so much on behalf of the listener who's sitting there going, oh my God, these guys did exactly what I want to do. Oh my God, it's a thing. And then is now forwarding this episode to their either future fiance or current fiance going, this is it. This is what we have to do. So thank you so much for sharing your thoughts behind basically not getting engaged, ticking off a bucket list item and another bucket list item to marry each other your own way. We really appreciate your openness and your candor. It's so good, guys. Thank you.
You're so welcome.
Thank you.
So welcome.
It's been a pleasure.
And we do realise what we say, already having done the white wedding under your belt, because that's a lot of things is people want. They think they want that, and once you've done that, you can do things a bit differently. But look, having done both, I can recommend this way.
Absolutely. And I guess people need to think about why they really do want that big one. What is it about that? Do they want to be the center of attention for a day and feeling like they've had to give it to others, so now it's their turn? Or do they want to have all their family there to witness it? So just really break down
family pressure.
The why. Yeah, do you feel like you need to do it so you don't let someone down?
Yeah, because if you go in with the right intentions and either the big wedding or the secret elopement is your thing, then do it, and do it with no apologies. But yeah, you're right, Aaron, go in with open eyes.
Yeah, absolutely. And we were at a stage of our life too where this made sense for us both, romantically and as far as the commitment goes, but also financially too. We want to invest that money that we could have put towards a big wedding into other things, and life itself isn't getting any cheaper. But in 50 years' time, are we going to regret not having done the big wedding, or are we going to regret not having invested or made better use of that money?
That is so, so poignant, especially at the moment with the cost of living crisis. And also there is a growing trend for younger people to go, I would rather travel, invest, further education, whatever the case may be, and not drop tens of thousands of dollars on a wedding. So I think that is just perfect. Thank you so much, guys.
Absolute
Thanks for
pleasure.
having
Thank
us.
you for having us.
That about wraps it up for this episode of the Unbridely podcast. For the links and resources we mentioned, please head to the show notes. And if you love the show, please review and subscribe on the podcast platform you're on now so you don't miss out on a single episode. Thanks so much for listening. And remember, weddings are a team sport. Catch you soon.